Good afternoon and welcome. This is Dave Meyer with BusyWeb, joining you today on the BuzzCast. We do these once a month, and what we talk about is digital marketing in some form, and I try to bring in luminaries inside of the space that we're talking about for today. So what we're talking about this month in August is how do I do inbound marketing? The company that coined inbound marketing, of course, is HubSpot. And I'm delighted to have you here today with Ryan Carrig of HubSpot. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce us around. Would love to hear a little bit more about you and what you do for HubSpot.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dave. I'm thrilled to be a part of the podcast, the webcast today. I will do my very best to provide some knowledge on top of what you already have, Dave. My claim to fame is that I've been at HubSpot for 8 years yesterday, August 1st.
Congratulations. Yeah.
My new claim to fame, I guess.
Uh-huh.
8 years, August 1st, 2009 was my first day at HubSpot. I was one of the first members of the HubSpot sales team. So I've been helping businesses over the last 8 years with inbound marketing, helping HubSpot agency partners like BusyWeb perform inbound marketing best practices and retainers and services with all of their clients. And outside of work, I have a 2-year-old daughter who's absolutely crazy, and that's what keeps me busy these days.
Congratulations, and thanks for joining us today. We'll get more into our partnership and how things work and how organizations can use HubSpot as we talk through today. But again, this is intended as a conversation. And so as we go, I'd like to give all of the viewers today an opportunity to ask questions if you do have questions. And I'm going to screen share again so that you can see how to do that. If you go into the Google Hangout or into the window where you're probably watching today's BuzzCast, you'll see that there's a big play button in here for the embedded video. The big one to look at, though, is right underneath where I'm highlighting right now. It says directly on YouTube Live. If you click that link that goes to directly on YouTube Live, it's going to take you to this window. The big one to look at, though, is right underneath. And I am going to mute myself here. Right now, it says direct. And so that you don't have to hear us twice, you can go into the live chat window down below on the video to ask us, either Ryan at HubSpot or me, Dave from BusyWeb, anything that you want about inbound marketing or whatever else pops up inside of the space of digital marketing today. So if you do have a question, you can ask a question here. So go ahead and ask those questions as we get ready. And just to make sure that this works, if you wouldn't mind, just drop me a note saying where you're from today. We normally have folks from all over the country attending, and that'll actually help us to know if you have specific challenges or just for our curiosity. So if you wouldn't mind just dropping in, where are you from and what are you hoping to get out of the talk today, if anything. So thank you very much for joining us. And again, just go right in. So Brenda, thanks for noting that you're from Michigan, and we will connect up and keep answering questions as they go. But thank you so much for joining us. All right, so let's get into the content for today. And to start with, I just wanted to give you a little bit more feedback and background. Of course, anyone that's a BusyWeb fan or that knows us for a while knows a little bit about BusyWeb, but we're a digital marketing agency. We're located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're really proud that we're now a HubSpot partner. So we do email marketing and content marketing and digital advertising, search engine optimization, of course, website design, and all of the tactics that you need for marketing in your business. And specifically, we work with our clients as the outsourced marketing department for them. So if you have maybe one person in your marketing team and you need more help inside of your marketing, if you want strategic help, if you want help specifically in inbound marketing, BusyWeb would love to talk to you about being a partner today. That's all you're going to get from me as far as a sales pitch today. And of course, HubSpot and Ryan are available, and they work with us all the time on how to help grow inbound marketing for our clients. So Ryan and Ryan's team works with BusyWeb to more proactively lean on the resources of really the pioneers of inbound marketing. So Ryan, again, thanks for joining me today. What we're going to talk through is a few things on our inbound marketing strategy session today. So first, we're going to go through, we already covered our intros, but I want to go through a little bit about what is inbound marketing, and then how to really follow the life cycle of inbound marketing. And that's attract, convert, close, and delight. It'll all make sense in a few moments, but there's really a method to doing marketing correctly inside of the inbound methodology. We're going to talk some examples of inbound programs, and Ryan's got some interesting examples that he'll be able to share with us. And then we're going to talk through the inbound funnel, wrap it up with Q&A. So again, if something pops up, if you're wondering, does this qualify as inbound marketing? Am I doing it right? When would I know if using a tool like HubSpot is right for me? Those are all fantastic questions, and we'd love to take those for you. So in general, and we're going to come back to this a couple times today, but inbound marketing is really a methodology. And what it means for businesses is it gives you the opportunity to take people through a life cycle. It flips traditional marketing on its head. In the olden days, marketing used to rely on just being as noisy as possible in the hope that you'd capture people's attention. As things move forward for us, behaviors are changing. All of the traditional marketing tactics, the bullhorn on the corner, really isn't working anymore. As of the state of inbound marketing from HubSpot in 2015, 94% of people that watch TV skip TV ads. 91% unsubscribe from emails that they don't like. 27% of direct mail is never opened. And there are 200 million people on the do not call list. So if you were trying to use any of those traditional marketing tactics, they're still useful, but the usability and the utility is truly eroding as people get more savvy with how they consume marketing. This is particularly interesting when you think about millennials who grew up with the internet, who understand just inherently how to consume media and probably have two screens at any given time. They have their phone while they're watching TV, or they're just talking and texting and Snapchatting each other. And so it gives you a lot more opportunity to engage people at a higher level. In order to attract customers, then, marketers need to provide something that visitors will love. So as you think about what marketing is and what you do, it's less about us shoving things into people's faces or trying to steal people's attention in the hopes that you're going to get some sort of response. And it's more about being as useful and as helpful and as engaging as possible. And so as we talk through these, I'm actually going to have Ryan pop in for me on this, because I really want to get a little deeper into the stages of inbound now. So Ryan, do you want to take this away, or do you want, how should we work this for you?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll speak to this graphic here for a moment. So when somebody asks me, what does HubSpot do, or what is inbound marketing? I say HubSpot, or inbound marketing, allows businesses to get more visitors to their website. It allows businesses to generate more inbound leads with their site, and it allows businesses to grow. And I leave it at that. That's sort of the simplest answer. Get more visitors on your site, generate more leads, and close more deals. So of course, the next question is, well, how do you do that? How does inbound marketing work? How does HubSpot work? So we sort of peel the layers away into this graphic right here, which is attract, convert, close, and delight. So to attract more visitors to a website, particularly to a business website, it's this three-pronged effort of content, of search engine optimization, and of social media. So on here, we say, you can see on the graphic, blogging, keywords, which is synonymous with search engine optimization, and then social publishing. So basically what you're doing is figuring out what terms you want to rank for, optimizing your site for those terms, and creating content traditionally through blogging and social to attract prospects into your site. So that's phase one, is attracting. Phase two is conversion. Now, typically what we mean by a convert or a conversion is an inbound lead. This stuff certainly does work in the e-commerce and even in the B2C world as well. But here we're talking about an inbound lead, which is traditionally for a B2B business. Okay, so how do you generate a lead on your website when somebody's just coming to the site and clicking around and reading your content? So what we recommend here is what I call premium content. A lot of time it's we call it premium content. So this is something like an ebook, a white paper, a webinar. You know what? I'd be remiss to not point out of what a great example today's webinar is of a piece of premium content. So what you do is you offer that up for free. You use conversion forms, you use calls to action, you use landing pages. Of course, you support it with an email marketing campaign, and you drive those visitors and those prospects into your premium content, a webinar, an ebook, a white paper, and you grab their contact information. So now that nameless, faceless site visitor is a person who's opted into your database and has in return received a great piece of content that is valuable to them. Okay, so now we've got traffic. Now we're generating leads. So what do we do from there? So I kind of put these next to in one similar group. So we say close and delight. So close, of course, means bringing that lead into a customer, and delight means maintaining, retaining, upselling that customer. So how do we do that? Well, then from a software standpoint, what HubSpot does is it's tracking what that individual did on your website. It's tracking what emails you've sent to them. Did they click it? Did they open it? Did they ignore it? It's tracking all this information on the prospect, and it's allowing you to follow up appropriately. So an example of a follow-up might be just a simple email following up on the webinar and asking if they have questions. Or it's potential that an even better follow-up is a sales call. The person's expressed enough interest that you feel that, hey, this warrants reaching out and following up. Okay, so it's then just tracking what all your prospects are doing, reacting to that appropriately, creating these campaigns, which we can talk about a little bit later, and engaging with them at the right time.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. And as we were chatting, I realized that I wasn't sharing to all, so they were seeing you instead of the graphic. And so as we look through this, going from attracting to delight, you can see underneath what those audiences are and what the net benefit is inside of the circles. And then some of the tactics inside of those are what's showing on the bottom. So for attract, you want to use blogs, keywords, inside of blogging, inside of content, the traditional SEO, and then social publishing. And that drives visitors. Convert uses forms, calls to action, landing pages to change visitors into leads. And then to close folks, you use your CRM system, your customer relationship management system, email or workflows. The idea that when someone receives an email, maybe 2 days, 3 days later, depending on how they respond, they'll get some sort of a response from you automatically. And that turns your leads into customers. And then everything that you do after that moves, whether it's surveys to make sure that you're actually hitting the mark, using smart content, social monitoring to engage, to keep people connected in conversations. That moves people from customers to promoters, which of course drives more strangers and then you're all back into one big virtuous circle. So thank you for that input, Ryan. And I'm going to skip through this because I think we're getting into a spot where we're going to start having questions. And so as you think about inbound marketing from a top level, inbound marketing is a holistic and data-driven approach to marketing that attracts individuals to your brand and converts them into customers. So yeah, as we move forward, one of the big questions I'm going to have for you, Ryan, is how to measure those folks. So keep that in your head as we move forward here. But how do we know if people are moving on that scale? And how do the tools work, perhaps, that can make that work for us? But then also, as we think about traditional versus inbound, then you kind of got an overview of what inbound can do. But in the old school ways, we would cold call people. We would just send spam out. We would try to scream from the corners, or broadcast out to as many people as possible, right? To interrupt what they do, to capture people's attention. It's all about us. And as we push things out, it really is that person on a soapbox with the megaphone saying, buy my stuff or do my thing. It's me, 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 me. Inbound is the opposite of that. It's you being as engaging, as helpful, as interesting as possible, and making your content available to people as they search. So you focus for them on what's in it for them. If I sell drill bits, I'm not actually selling drill bits. I'm not selling titanium. I'm not selling, the sharpness of the bit. What I'm selling is holes. And so focus on the hole that you fill for your customer. What's the solution you provide? Your job is to be an expert and to provide helpful content, search engine optimization, blogging, using customer-centric information to solve a problem for your customer. And then you put simple gates inside of that content, right? So as soon as you're done, everyone that's on this seminar that's attending live today probably responded to some sort of an email from BusyWeb. And that call to action was to register for today's event. After today's event, we're going to send you a helpful checklist that you can use to know if inbound marketing is right for you. So that's how we're making your life easier, right? This isn't stuff that's salesy. It's just a helpful tool that you can use to grow your content, to grow your usefulness with your customers. And so with inbound marketing, your customers really come to you. So that's the difference. So instead of you trying to beat them down into submission, and again, this is where B2B business works so much better with inbound marketing. B2C can work, as Ryan mentioned, but with B2B, you're trying to influence and gain trust. With B2C, people just go business to consumer. People just go and they buy your stuff, right? So if I'm an e-commerce store, the 5 things that you need to know about using my products that you can buy off the shelf might not be as useful as if it's a service that you're providing. So Ryan, again, how does that really work? And let's go back to that question about how you can measure that and know if what you're doing is working. And I'm going to switch back to screen sharing so that we can see and we can have a chat.
Awesome. So I think the most important thing is to sort of define what you will be measuring and what your key metrics will be. So a mistake that a lot of businesses make is this overemphasis on strictly traffic. How many visitors did we get to the site? Is it more than last month? Is it more than last year? Traffic is great. Traffic is very important, but the focus with inbound marketing is on quality traffic. And we define quality traffic as traffic that not only gets to your website, but takes that next step to go on and engage with you. So it gives their contact information, um, downloads your content, reads your blog, follows you on social. If you're running webinars, is engaged and attend your webinars. So leads, not just traffic, but leads. And then even one step further, is tracking then, okay, are they closing into customer at a decent clip as well? I'll give you a great example of something to be cognizant of there. HubSpot. So our marketing team has done a phenomenal job of generating inbound leads for 11 years. At one point, we noticed that we would get a ton of inbound leads for a certain type of webinar. Maybe it was social media, maybe it was search engine optimization, but not a lot of them would close into customer, if any. And of course, we realized quickly, or my marketing team realized quickly, that we were becoming such an educational resource that a lot of college students were using HubSpot's content to learn and to study and write papers and whatnot on internet marketing. So to reiterate, it's not just traffic. Leads are more important, but even more important than leads, you still want to make sure that a decent percentage are closing into a customer.
Great. And then would people use to measure that response? Of course, HubSpot has those tools. If people are just looking to dip their toe in the water and figure out if their marketing is working for them, would you recommend things like Google Analytics, or how can they start? How can they dip their toe in the water?
Yeah. So on the free side, you won't get that level of analytics, but
Right.
on the free side, absolutely, Google Analytics is great, and you should have that. If you don't have that, certainly Google Analytics. And what you want to do is then have some sort of conversion page metrics. Conversion page is the
Mm-hmm.
page that asks for your visitors' contact information. So you should be able to get a sense of what the conversion rate is on those pages. Obviously, as Dave said, so in HubSpot, all these analytics are sort of prepackaged and ready for you. I think you can piece together, the surface level of it with other tools, but I'm less knowledgeable actually of how you would do that.
Sure. And of course, the easiest way to do this is, especially if you're in that B2B market and you need to take this seriously and you don't want to waste all kinds of time trying to make something force fit, would be to use HubSpot. And so, we've noticed that we've spent a ton less time chasing our own tails now that we're using HubSpot ourselves. And it's all, and again, the goal isn't to turn this into an advert, but the way that everything works when it's designed to work together is incredibly helpful. So we're just seeing much different results than we ever have now that we've been able to use the tools that we have at our fingertips. So it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay, skipping back, want to, and let me go back into present to everyone just to make sure that everybody's seeing me. The things that we've been talking about, right? So moving down the line from strangers to promoters across that entire list, there's a bunch of stuff that we've talked about as far as tactics. This is a slightly, it's not the most beautiful graphic in the world, but it kind of overlays what you need to consider in your entire marketing strategy, right? So this is what we do inside of BusyWeb's Buzz Builders programs for our clients, for example. We do a little bit of all of these things in different mixtures for each client, depending on their needs, depending on who they're trying to reach. So in the lower left, the art of search engine optimization, trying to build links to get, both on-page and off-page content. So things that people can find when they're Googling. Link building is connecting and making connections with other people to increase your link rankings, using keyword analysis, using tools like either HubSpot or, again, Google Analytics, the Google keyword research tools, all of this stuff that we've talked about in past Busy webinars and in past BuzzCasts, actually. 2 BuzzCasts ago, I talked with Jenny, our in-house expert in search engine optimization and advertising. And we went through some big details on how you can make that work. Likewise, last month, Michelle and I, Michelle, the leader of our Buzz Builders team, talked about content in depth. And so whether it's white papers or some sort of a additional like premium bit of content that people would be willing to give you a little bit of information on, and really whether it's a form or just giving you their email address, giving you some sort of an indication that they're interested and to give you a way to know who they are. That might be blogs or videos, ebooks, the checklist document that everyone that registered for today's event is going to get for free as part of this. That's all fantastic linked content. And so as you move forward with that, it makes your life super easy because you're just providing great content that helps people get to the next step. And then, of course, all the social media stuff. And we all know about social media. Sometimes I feel like it's getting beat to death because everyone talks about social media all the time. But the way that social breaks through that clutter is it really gives you the next step that you need to know inside of your marketing. So as you think about that and as you move forward with it, using Twitter or Snapchat or LinkedIn or Pinterest can all help drive additional content that gets people connected with you. And it's just engaging with them at a way or at a level that feels much more personal. And that's content, place, and time. The confluence of that is really where people integrate and really start to engage with you. And if you're in a conversation with folks and you're asking and answering questions, that's where things really get magical. Ryan, any great examples of people that are doing this really well, or just give us as BusyWeb, B2B company, we help other businesses do what they need to inside of their marketing. You're meeting with a company like ours, or in the comments, if you'd like, folks, give your channel, and maybe inside of our Q&A, we'll talk a little bit about a solid strategy for you inside of your marketing. But for BusyWeb, for a marketing company, what are some common ways that you can use content in inbound marketing like we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing that I recommend to any business, be it a marketing agency or any of the businesses on the webcast, is understanding your target audience, and we call that persona development a lot of times at HubSpot. So that means, who is it that you sell to? Who is it as specific as you can possibly be? Who is it that you sell to? Because if you don't know that, it's tough to start to create the content that is relevant and engaging to your prospects. So that's one thing that I think is super important. And if we were just, pretending that I was meeting you for the first time, Dave, and talking about BusyWeb and,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to help you out, that would be step one, I would say.
Cool. And I just posted a comment inside of the live chat. So for folks that are on the line, review that live chat question. Tell us your industry. And then at the end of today's talk, in just a couple of minutes, when we get into our Q&A section, we'll brainstorm some ways or some content that you could use to drive inbound marketing. So I'm going to go back to sharing for one more couple set of slides here. Let's go there. And let me just present to everyone again. It's like a 3-step process in Google. It's pretty decent on YouTube Live, but there are some things that you need to tinker with. I think one of the things that we've chatted about, but I want to dig in a little bit more on, is how this multi-channel marketing works. So, the flow of using keywords to drive the content in your blog, making sure your blog and your website and your emails and all of your content has specific calls to action to tell people what to do, and then to have that call to action drive people to a landing page or to website pages that offer some sort of an online form, some way to connect, some way to tell people, yes, I'm interested. And then to follow that up with email and marketing automation to continue to engage with folks with a little bit more helpful content, a little bit more detail. And then, of course, rounding all of that in social media. So as you look at that, the inbound funnel really looks like this. As you're trying to get traffic, how you could do this is to create blog content, to use SEO of that content to connect out and make sure that you're findable when people type your keywords into Google. That's all search engine optimization is. Writing content on your website and in your social networks so that when people search for that key phrase that they're going to type, if they're interested in your product or service, that you show up, right? So the act of promoting that on social media sites does two things. It helps lift the search engine optimization so that people find you, but it also gives additional points for people to find you, because somebody might not Google you, but they might be interested in what you have to say because someone in their network shared it on Facebook. And then to get leads, you place calls to action throughout your website to drive visitors to landing pages with forms. A landing page is simply that. It's a single purpose page that has some sort of a form, that has some sort of a next action on it. Register here, fill out the form for more information, download the white paper. Visitors fill out those forms to get what you're offering. You're offering something that's valuable to them for free, and the thing that they have to pay is their attention, their information. After you have that traffic and you get those leads, then you're going to get customers by connecting with the people that filled out those forms to drive them along your buying cycle. Sounds complicated. All it really means is that you're giving people opportunities to either download more information, to get more help from you, and then ideally to work with you. So you're giving them the options and the next steps it's going to take to start to work with you. It's going to give your sales team the intelligence so that they can make effective sales calls. It's the difference between cold calling or just picking up the phone and dialing someone, and knowing that the particular person that you're talking to knows you and your company, and that they're interested in a specific product or service that your team can talk about. And you got to watch this. And Ryan, this is one of those things that I'm sure you've heard interesting stories about, but you can't connect with someone and say, hey, I noticed you were looking at our website at 12:30 last night, and it looks like you were really interested in widget X, so let's talk, right? You can't be creepy about it. But it does provide sales signals. And then you'll probably note when inbound marketing is working really well, it almost seems like coincidence rules the day. So you search for something, you interact with something, and then all of a sudden something that matches what you were searching about, maybe a couple days later, magically shows up in your inbox, right? Or magically shows up on Facebook or somewhere else. That's the art of being helpful at the right times. So after you've gotten those customers, you need to keep analyzing. We talked about measurement a little bit, but you need to analyze the success of your marketing campaigns and determine what needs further optimization. BusyWeb is also getting into, in our web design, what's called growth-driven design, also kind of created by HubSpot, or the idea was formed by HubSpot, but it's certainly a non-branded effort. The idea of growth-driven design is that you want to set up hypotheses and try and solve unique marketing problems and continuously evolve your website and your marketing so that you're learning and improving as you go. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. And Ryan, I've been talking a lot. Want to give you a little bit more time to give us more details on what works best in your opinion for your customers, for the people that you work with inside of HubSpot. But then also, what are the common pain points? What are the touch points? I want to go in and give folks an opportunity to ask more questions. So Ryan, give us some expert tips.
Yeah. So, when you hear all of this for the first time, oftentimes the pushback is, wow, that's a lot of content, or wow, that sounds hard. We can't do that. I hear
Right.
that all the time from businesses. So uh, that's honestly, that's the reason for the HubSpot partner program. As a side note, that's the reason that we have partners like BusyWeb, so they can become, as Dave put it aptly, your outsourced marketing team. So I think it's important to know, you're not on the hook necessarily to do all this stuff in-house. Now, a suggestion there, and I'd love to hear Dave's thoughts on this actually. So one of the things, my most the agency partners that I've worked with for like 5 years and have brought on hundreds and hundreds of accounts. One of the things they do is they're not just telling the the end client, the customer, hey, we're going to write the content for you. They're not doing that, because whatever your industry is, you're the expert in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, Dave's not, you are. Okay, so what we recommend is not that you're going to outsource somebody just writing poor content that's loosely related, sort of superficial to your industry. What we want is, we want to get inside your brain. You're the expert. Again, the way that oftentimes that happens is just an interview, right? There might be, for example, maybe Dave's team realizes, okay, here's what we need to rank for you, for client XYZ. Here's the terms that client XYZ needs to rank for. Okay, so let's have an interview with the CEO of client XYZ with questions around those terms. We'll take all that information that is, from the, intelligent brain that understands that business inside and out, and we'll put it into a blog post. And then we'll create a series of social media, tweets and posts and whatnot around, using that content. And then we'll promote it potentially with an email campaign. So I think it's important to understand that, a couple takeaways. One, content is the fuel of this. Yes, content is the fuel. And two, we're not suggesting that you need to, put pen to paper or be typing away, for hours and hours and hours every day on this stuff. And then lastly, using an agency partner, they can sort of pick your brain, get the content out of there, put it into the appropriate format, and get it up on your site and optimized and everything.
Sweet. And yeah, actually, Ryan, what we call that inside of BusyWeb's client relationships is a collaborative partnership. So we collaborate with you, but we expect you to be active in what we do. So exactly to that note, we interview our clients every month, and I've seen a lot of folks that have come to BusyWeb that have been frustrated in the past. They're like, yeah, we're a landscape architect, and so we work with companies all over the country, but we specifically want to focus in the Midwest, and people are publishing, or our digital marketing agency was publishing all this stuff about Linnaeus. And that's a porch in the South, right? In the Midwest, it's just a good old porch, right? And so if you're like, your Linnaeus needs to do this, this and this, or something else that's just not relevant, that's some of the big things that you get into when you're not collaborating enough with your partner. And or usually if people try to shortcut the process and say, yeah, just write a bunch of stuff for me, they sign up with an SEO company that's going to generate 10 blog posts a month. They've got people in India doing it, and so they're charging $150 a month. You absolutely get what you pay for. And that's kind of how that trap happens. But unless you're working with your marketing partner and you're providing content to them, and it might just be in a conversation. We actually have a couple of clients that they hate email. They don't like communicating online at all. What they'll do is they'll just leave us a voicemail. And so we give them a script and they send us a voicemail with Google Voice, one of the tools that we use. It transcribes it to text. We clean it up, use that as the bullet points, and then get that back to the client. So all he has to do is call us and leave us a 5-minute long voicemail, just kind of ramble a little bit once a month, and it's done. So, you know, and that really cuts down on all of the pain.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm gonna use that in as a best practice story with some other businesses I work with. That's a really good idea.
Absolutely. I didn't even know that we did that until I interviewed Michelle last month at our BuzzCast, and she said, "Yeah, we have clients that we just have leave us a voicemail because they hate typing." That makes perfect sense because it transcribes it now. Julie asked a question, or she provided some notes about her industry. She's a medical society trying to promote for purchase services to small to medium-sized medical practices, physicians, and office managers. So if we were if we're working with a medical society trying to promote services to medical practices, what would be some examples of gated content, perhaps, or just how would we start? So again, trying to provide medical service information. So we actually do have a client that's similar to that. And one of the things that we do with them is they provide information about what the specific answers they provide include. So I'm going to anonymize this just so that we don't have to worry about client confidentiality. But say this was a pharmaceutical company treating 2 or 3 different kinds of issues that their pharmaceuticals answered. So maybe it's some sort of a attention deficit drug, or something. Let's make it even easier that works for ALS, right? Instead of doing the ice bucket challenge, they're doing their content and they're connecting, right? So a easy gated content bit might be an email to those medical practitioners saying, here are the 3 ways to know that your customer is suffering from a specific thing that you might not have thought about, right? So that's my first idea, and I think I could have done a better job, but we're just swinging from the hip here. How about you, Ryan? What do you think?
So, so for this one, the medical society. So it sounds like she's aware of who the target audience is, and it was like, I think it was like purchasers. So I think it comes down to, what are the frequently asked questions from that target group? What
Right.
is that? They ask you so much that you've got like a canned response to it, or you've got a frequently asked questions page, or you've got you just know they're going to ask it. What are those questions? Whatever those questions are, that's a really good place to start on what that premium content, that ebook, that white paper should be.
Mhm.
Now you know what the value is, what they'd be willing to give their contact information in exchange for. So in general, across the board, I know that doesn't specifically answer for this one, but across the board, that's a great place to start.
Awesome. And I think you hit one of the key things that we tell our clients. If you have frequently asked questions, that's your first line of content, because that's what everybody's asking you. So in Julie's specific example, she's looking to reach gatekeepers inside of physician offices. So there's probably some specific problems or questions that those gatekeepers have when they talk to them, or when their sales team is dialing one of the things that something usually bubbles up that every one of those gatekeepers has a question about. It's like, oh yeah, do you do X? And could be interesting, especially if they don't. Like, here's why we don't do X, right? And so that kind of content can be really engaging because you know that your client is thinking about it or your intended audience. And one of the things that we haven't really talked about, but we've spent some time at BusyWeb really thinking about a lot recently, is the idea of marketing personas. And so I know that you guys live personas, so I'm sure you can give us more detail on this. But as you look at this, a marketing persona is basically a fictionalized best customer, right? And you probably have 3 or 4 because you serve 3 or 4 different types of customers. In Julie's example, it's office managers of physician offices and probably also the physicians themselves. So any tips to come up with an effective marketing persona, or to know who to talk to and how to talk to that person?
So I think it is, so you're totally right. That is super important to define your marketing personas. Most businesses just haven't done that. So that's a good sort of like quick win situation. And, you can do that today without, buying software, or you could, whiteboard it out this afternoon. So defining your marketing persona, super important. Obviously, the way you do it is go to existing customers, existing clients, and figure out what do they share in common. These are big businesses. These are small businesses. These are located here. These ones spend a lot of money with us. These ones spend not a lot of money with us, and dissecting it every which way and sort of lumping folks into various categories. For an example, at HubSpot, we have our enterprise client, which is like the, big customers, like, for example, IBM would be an example there. We have our mid-level target persona or marketing persona, our mid-market, sorry, that's medium-sized businesses. And then small businesses, we have different names. We say Enterprise Ernie, for example. We might say Owner Ollie. We might say Marketing Mary. You come up with these names to, make it so that you know exactly what persona you're talking to. And then what I think is great is then the marketing experience and potentially the sales experience that they receive from you will be tailored to that persona. If you're doing this correctly, it'll be tailored to that persona. So Enterprise Ernie is going to get content that is relevant to what is keeping him up at night, and Marketing Mary is going to get content that solves the issues that she's experiencing, right? So you're tweaking your content based on these marketing personas. So definitely take a look at your existing customers, see if there's some trends, and come up with at least 2. But to Dave's point, there should be multiple personas that you're going after.
Cool. And I think one of the helpful tips that we've found in creating marketing personas is to identify your favorite customers, because there might be some that you do a lot of work with, but that make you crazy. And the best way to get more of what you got is to focus on it. So if you focus on the wrong type of customer, you're going to get more of that wrong type of customer. And this is really sales and business 101, to focus on and to really identify who are our customers and how are we helping solve their needs, right? And so the marketing persona, we always focus on our customers' favorite customers. And then we also line it up, and we just have a folder for each one of our clients. We have a couple dozen clients that we do this for, and we have a folder. And when we start writing for our healthcare company, we have a folder. We open it up, and it has the personas on that sheet. So we're writing for, in BusyWeb's case, it's funny that you actually have the same name, but we have Marketing Mary that we write for. And so, as we're writing for Mary, we know, hey, you can almost, if you're suffering from writer's block on this stuff, you can almost say, you can do a letter to Dear Mary, and then write it out. And that's actually how most of the gated content in the white papers go anyway, right? So the landing pages are, Dear Mary, download this information right now. So that's incredibly helpful. So thanks, Ryan. Julie gave us more detail to help us walk through this. So the services that her company provides include OSHA and HIPAA regulation compliance evaluation and training, credential confirmation for hospital and insurance companies, HR services, billing and coding services. So I think that's a ton of really good gated content right there. So, how to know if your company is OSHA compliant. 3 things that you need to meet HIPAA compliance with new things that come out. Your fingers are on the pulse of the industry. So when something new comes out for HIPAA compliance, you know about it because that's just your life. And you probably subscribe to a bunch of industry publications. You have a bunch of things that you can use, and you can curate that content and say, according to the Association of Chiropractic or orthopedic doctors and whatever, here are the 3 things that they're struggling with. So that, again, if you have chiropractor Clem as one of your marketing personas, you're going to write about what HIPAA compliance means to them. And the content that you're going to give, it might be a checklist, it might be a white paper, it might be a video. Honestly, we're going to provide this video to friends and to potential corporate clients so that they could know if inbound marketing is right for them. So, we're using this in practice, and that's why we have Ryan on. So this is really cool stuff that you can use, and it seems complicated from the outside, but once you really start playing with it, marketing is really about finding a need and identifying how you can help your intended client with that need. And so the personas are incredibly important about that. All of the stuff that we've talked about today, whether it's attracting, converting, improving, and measurement, all that stuff can be incredibly helpful. It's just a process. You have to set up the right checklists. You have to set up yourself and your company for success by giving yourself the right tools. And for some, it might not be HubSpot. HubSpot is brilliant as a conglomeration of all of the tools that you need if you're going to do inbound marketing correctly. But as we covered a little bit today, if you're just starting up, you're probably not going to be able to find the budget to go right into HubSpot. So you make do with Google Analytics and email marketing and a blog post or 2, and just do what you can until you can afford or until you get the revenue to support that. One of the big things that companies of all stripes struggle with is finding budget for their marketing. And that's akin to me to a marathon runner trying to find budget to eat before the race. Marketing is the food that drives your business. So if you can't afford the food, you shouldn't be racing. You're not going to be able to walk for very long if you never eat. So that's kind of how I consult with our customers. And just like marketing, eating is complicated. There's all kinds of diet books, there's all kinds of sales books. And what you need to do is set yourself up with a repeatable system. You're going to eat this every day, and it's going to help drive your performance as a human being. You're going to do this marketing every week, and it's going to provide your performance as a company. Right. So that's my soapbox. That's how I do it. Anything else that you would counsel clients that are, or just people that are trying to make sense of how to improve their marketing, and specifically around inbound, Ryan?
We covered a lot today, and there, hopefully it was made sense to folks. I think you know to reiterate, the key is define who you're going after, answer the questions that they're asking, create content that answer those questions, set up your site to generate inbound leads, and then follow up with those leads appropriately through email marketing and potentially a sales process. One thing I will say, Dave, I learned from you a ton in this call. Thank you.
Awesome.
I've been scribbling notes here, and so I want to thank you very much for having me. I hope I helped some people out and added some color, but Dave, super impressed as always with BusyWeb, and I learned a ton from you today.
Thank you. Well, let's take this show on the road. I'll come up and visit you. You're welcome to come up. I'm actually delivering today's BuzzCast from the North Woods of Minnesota, where BusyWeb has its northern office. And so I'm going to head out on the lake after this. So let's make it a retreat. We'll hang out and do some fun stuff. Brenda said yes, made sense and very, very informative. Thank you. Julie said thanks, great info all around. So thank you very much. I want to go into one final thing before we end today and just give people an idea of how to stay in touch with us. If you haven't already, we'd love to have you to get those helpful tips that we provide to our clients. Once a week, we send a small tidbit on how to improve your marketing effectiveness. And once a month, we kind of round up and give you invites to our upcoming events like the BuzzCast. This next month is all about how to do inbound and how to take your marketing to the next level. So if you're interested in that, please do just subscribe up to our email newsletter. And that's available by just texting. You send a note to 22828 and you text busy in the 2-line, BIZZY, not BUSY. When you do that, you're going to get a quick note back that says, thanks very much. Enter your email address and you'll get our very next email. And that's all there is to it. As well, if you would like today's presentation, and for everyone that's attending today, either send me an email at dave@busyweb.com to get today's presentation. But if you did register for today's event, you're going to get that handy inbound marketing checklist that I mentioned before. So that's yours. We'd love for you to figure out if inbound or if marketing is right for you. There's no obligation. There's no extra stuff that you're going to get out of this. It's just a checklist that you can use to improve your marketing. So I hope you find that interesting and informative. Fill out that form if you'd like it, and you'll get a note right away to download it. So super simple, super easy. Want to go back one last time and thank Ryan for hanging out with us today and for giving us that incredibly handy detail. So thanks again. It's been a tremendous amount of fun working with you. Always learn stuff from you when we're talking. So thanks for being the expert that helps us generate more buzz without getting stung for our clients.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. And thanks everybody on the line as well. This has been great. And Dave, enjoy that lake time that you deserve.
You got it. All right. Thanks everybody. And we'll talk to you next month. Thanks so much and have a great day.